everyone, and welcome to the daily newspaper analysis, which is presented to you by Losico. So, today we have a lot of articles to be discussed. The first two articles are from the Hindu, and the other third article is from the Indian Express. The first article is titled as Reworking Net Zero for Climate Change. This article talks about the prevailing inequity which is there in the climate change treaty, specifically talks about the Paris Treaty and how the developing countries have been burdened much enough as compared to the developed countries, even though their share in the climate change or the greenhouse emission is quite less. The second article is about redefining competence, which talks about the new form the cyber attacks have taken, and that is why, how, and why is it important to redefine and to understand the new and more advanced definition of the competence and other things associated with the cyber attacks and hackings. And the third article is from the Indian Express, which is titled as Insolvency Resolution Options for the MSMEs, which are the medium, small, and micro enterprises. So, this talks about the new policy which has been brought for having a complete pre pack for the MSMEs in order to bring a better solution if at all an MSME goes insolvent. And finally, we have the news and flash column. So before we move further, let's have a look at the Project Maverick, which is almost free CLAT preparation course from Losico. So if at all you're preparing for CLAT 2021 or 2022, you can enroll yourself for this course for just rupees 100, and you can have a look at the landing page of this course with the link which is shared in the description box below. Let's see what is the multiple choice question from yesterday's discussion. Justice N.V. Ramanna has been appointed as the Dash Chief Justice of India. So which number of this particular Chief Justice he would be? Your options are 46th, 47th, 48th or 50th. You can write down your answer in the comment section below. This is the descriptive question for the day. How can climate change be tackled? What steps has India taken so far in this direction? So let's start our discussion for the day. The first article here talks about the inequity in the Global Climate Treaty. So in 2015, Prime Minister Modi stressed that countries such as India should not pay the price for pollution caused by West. Now here, what are we referring to as the West and what inequity are we talking about needs to be understood in the first place. See, if we talk about the world at large, there are different countries, right? Now there are different developmental statuses of these particular countries. For example, countries like USA and Singapore are developed, whereas countries like India and China are still developing. But if we talk about the burden that all the countries together are facing because of the climate change, so we come to know that the countries that are already developed, like USA, have already made use of huge amount of the natural resources. And also, they contribute significantly to the greenhouse gas emissions and thus contributing even more significantly towards the climate change. But if we consider the other countries, even if we take example of India or even various African countries as well, which are still at the verge of developing and they have not even utilized the natural resources to an equitable share, still have to face the brunt of climate change. So, for example, if at all the global temperature is rising, so it is not something that it would rise only for USA since it is only contributing largely for climate change. But on the contrary, the whole world is facing this rise in the temperature and the global temperature, and thus it is causing problems and adjustment issues for the entire world. So, which means that the countries that have actually enjoyed the natural resources and are contributing significantly to the climate change are also facing the brunt. But what is not justified is that the countries that have not even contributed so significantly to this this global gas emission or even the global climate change, even they have to face the consequences and they have not even worked for those consequences, as in they are not even responsible for those consequences. Thus, in the same context, India also says that India, though is a far developing country as compared to other countries, but still India only emits a very limited amount of the greenhouse gases in the world atmosphere. But still, the pressure to abide by the guidelines of such treaties or the pressure to control or stop or mitigate the climate change is hugely on India as well. So here, if we talk about specifically the inequity in the climate treaty, it is said that India is the fourth largest emitter as per annual emissions. Yes, we agree. But if we talk about the contribution or the total contribution that is given by India, it is only and only 3% to the cumulative emissions. So, for example, if 100% emissions are taking place in this entire world, India contributes only 3% of these cumulative emissions. And even though India is the fourth largest emitter, but the percentage is just 3%, as against 26% which comes from US and 13% which comes from China. So we can see that these are the fastest growing countries of the world. US is even a developed country, and the share of the cumulative in the cumulative emissions is 26% and 13% respectively for US and China, whereas India has only and only 3%. So what happens is that longer term goals without any proper strategy to achieve these goals can only solve the political problems and not the problem itself. So what happens is that every changing political party at the center comes up with some new kinds of policies, and it tries to make people believe that they really care about the climate change and they really are doing a lot in this particular direction. But what we need to see here critically is that, are these long-term goals actually serving the purpose of solving the problem of climate change or not? Or are these goals only catering to these political issues, which means that just only raising a particular political party to be concerned about the climate change? But what we need to see is that really anything has been achieved so far or not. So the current discussions do not include the causes of the problem, whereas in the earlier excessive there was use of energy by the West. So here we have to see that there has been an excessive use of energy by the Western countries, due to which the situation today that we have has arisen. So that is why it would be ideal that we cater and that we address the exact problem or the exact cause behind this particular problem. So the most of the models, which are most of the policy recommendations, are based for the developing countries and are based on achieving reasonable and not comparable levels of well-being. Now here what we need to understand here is that if we talk about equity at the global level in the climate change treaty, then it should be seen that which country is contributing what amount of emissions in the cumulative emissions. And that is why, according to the benefits such country has taken so far from the natural resources, and as per the emissions that particular country makes, it should be only based on these things that its responsibility should be set up. And thus not all the countries, regardless of any and everything, should be given equal weightage or equal responsibility to check the climate change. And thus it should be equitable and proportionate to the country, from one country to another. So here, a big reason for the global emissions or the climate change has been considered to be the growth in infrastructure. So the current framework fails to recognize that more than half of the global cumulative emissions arose from infrastructure. Now, what is infrastructure? Our industries, transportation, manufacturing sector, etc. These all form part of the infrastructure. Construction as well, So, as we know, if we want to raise the human capital or if we want to raise the standards of living in a particular society, infrastructure is a key area. So, here, the importance of infrastructure is that, firstly, it helps in defining the role in human well being. For example, we have schools, colleges, hospitals, roads, buildings, etc. They add a lot to the human well being. And also, in an urbanized world, two-thirds of the emissions arise from demand of middle class for infrastructure, mobility, buildings, and diet. So all these things are very, very important and cannot be really, stopped or cannot be really hindered back. And thus, it needs to be understood that this infrastructure will definitely cost a lot upon the carbon emission and as well as the climate change. But ultimately, we need to find solutions to this as well, wherein we can construct green infrastructure, green buildings, by making use of the cements and other construction materials that are more eco-friendly in nature. So, because of the young population, much of India's emission also will become from infrastructure, buildings, and industry in the coming future. And thus, we should shift to more and more greener resources, just like the electric vehicles are a good example of this particular issue. Now, here we need a good and advanced framework which is more equitable in nature. So, firstly, the global goals shaping the national strategy require a new understanding, as we just discussed, that the goals or generally what we call in today's terms is the nationally determined contributions for every country should be in proportion to what that country is using or consuming as a matter of natural resource, and also how much emission that particular country is doing in the cumulative emissions. Also, India must highlight its unique national circumstances with regards to food, energy, transportation, etc. And if we talk about one of the energy needs or one of the food needs that we're talking about in here, the consumption of meat contributes to one third of the global emissions. Now, you might be wondering how consumption of meat can contribute to the global emissions. See, for the consumption of meat or for procuring meat in the first place, we need to have the kettle or we need to have the poultry or whatever meat are we consuming over here. All right. So for the meat and for this, animal husbandry is taken up. Now, when we talk about the animal husbandry, it is one of the primary reasons or primary areas of the emission of gases like carbon dioxide and methane because of the cow dung waste or the excreta and various other processes that take place in the animal husbandry process. And thus, for consumption of meat, this animal husbandry or keeping up of the cattle has to be taken place, due to which one third of the global emissions are occurring. And if we talk about how much India is contributing in the meat consumption, so Indians eat only 4 kg per year as an average consumption of meat as compared to European Union's 68 kg per year and even double of this in the United States. So can you understand that how small or how in such a small proportion only India is contributing negatively in this particular area, whereas European Union and US, they are times more, they are like 20 times more also, than what India is actually emitting out. So India, with abundant reserves and per capita electricity uses, is its use is 1/10 of the US and is still under pressure to reduce coal consumption. So even if we talk about the coal consumption, India is, it consumes only 1/10 of what the US is consuming as per the coal. But still, India has so much of pressure to reduce the coal consumption, which is definitely not equitable in nature. And thus, in Paris Agreement, climate change or the climate justice was relegated to a political and not a policy statement. And thus, if we really want to see a change in the climate scenario, policy statements or the policy reforms have to be drawn rather than just the political changes. With this, let's discuss the second article for the day, which talks about cyber attacks by civilians and self defense. So recently, a report in the New York Times has been given in October 2020, Mumbai, which talks about the power distribution breakdown, points a finger at Chinese cyber hackers. Now, as we know that the question that there have been a lot of hackers and also various cyber attacks coming from China. So this has been pointed out by various countries in the European Union as well as US and India as well. So due to this, it talks about the changing definitions of various, keywords which are associated with the cyber hackers or cyber attacks. So if you talk about the combatant, also one of the cyber hackers or one of the key terms over here. So according to the Liber Code of 1863, it defined the combatant as so soon as a man is armed by a sovereign and takes a soldier oath of fidelity, he is a belligerent. Now here it says it is a very a kind of a very primitive definition that they have given to combatant. As you know, it is according to the Liber Code of 1863. So it is like now it is going to be even 2 centuries older in a few years, old in a few years. So that is why we need to have more advanced and something that is more dynamic and relates to the current situation and to the current system of the cyber attacks that are taking place. Then it also defines, then we have a definition for regular force. So according to the Hague Convention of 1899, it is said that a regular force should be commanded by a superior person. It should be distinct, it should have a distinct emblem which is recognizable from a distance, must carry arms openly, or conduct in accordance with laws and customs of war. So here it may be, it limits the scope of what we are considering to be a regular force in the current situation, because keeping in mind, see, once there was an era when cyber attacks were something that were not even known to the people, they never even existed. But with the coming up of internet and it being processed and used at every hand here and there, so the situations or the cases of cyber attacks and cyber hacking also have increased and have also become common these days. And that is why these definitions should not be limited and should adjust to the changing time and scenario. Then, if we talk about the cyber warriors, it says it is conditions do not meet the Hague 1899 definition. Says that the cyber warriors may consist of civilians and who do not carry arms openly, and the source of attack could be a lone software nerd. So these are some definitions that we need to redefine. And here there are two questions that we need to address in the first place. First one, would a nation employ civilians in computer network so that the attacks are not in violation of the laws of war? Or if these attacks are considered combatants, would the target country have the right to respond in self-defense? Now, here the very question here is that many times when a situation of a war-like situation is there between two countries, so the cyberspace, the cyber hacking of various systems plays a very important role, because it can make or break the entire war situation. So here there are some rules of war that the countries have to abide by too. But many a times there are some illegitimate means which are used, and civilians maybe hacking the systems of the other country, the security system of the other country. So how much can this country whose system has been hacked can hold the other country accountable for an act of the individual? That is the basic question. But that can only be done if at all we have a change and we have a wider scope of the definitions of the combatants, regular force, and cyber warriors as well. So, if we talk about the self-defense, India agrees that it had right of self-defense against the acts of non-state actors in international law. So, by non-state actors, we would mean that if at all a particular cyber hacking or a cyber attack takes place, but the person or the authority or the agency that has taken up this cyber attack is not a state actor, which means it could be any private individual, a private agency, any private group, or a terrorist group or anything like that. So India says that India definitely has a right of self-defense against such non-state actors' acts in the international regime. And thus, in 2014, US initiated criminal actions against 4 Chinese hackers. So this was a step which is an example that even individuals or non-state actors can be, brought to question if at all the self-defense or the security of a particular country is at the question. And so now, finally, let's discuss the third and the last article for the day, which talks about the insolvency resolution option for the MSMEs. So MSMEs stand for micro, small, and medium enterprises. So here, the center has introduced an ordinance allowing the use of pre-packs as the insolvency resolution mechanism for MSMEs with defaults up to rupees 1 crore. Now here, as we know, what are the MSMEs? These are the medium, small, and micro enterprises. So basically, these actually are the various startups, various business ideas, various businesses that are of various levels. These can be at the micro levels also, the small level also, and medium level also, depending upon how much investment has been made in this particular entrepreneurial program. So the center has brought in an ordinance which would allow pre-packs for the insolvency resolution. Now, what is insolvency? So maybe there might be a situation that in the coming future, a particular entrepreneurial idea or a particular entrepreneurship might be on the verge of becoming insolvent. That means maybe they're not able to pay their debts, maybe they're not able to gain, required amount of profits or something like that. So if at all this insolvency occurs or is likely to occur, so insolvency resolution shall be already prepared as a pre-pack. So it means that here the MSMEs can be well prepared in advance, and thus they can take better decisions because now they will have good amount of time to decide, and also they would have better options to decide as to how they can use this insolvency resolution for procuring or for having the least damages possible. So let's understand in particular what are the pre-packs. So the resolution of debt of a distressed company through an agreement between secured creditors and investors instead of public bidding. So generally what happens is that, for example, a company, any entrepreneurship has become insolvent, all right? It has become completely bankrupt. So the general thing that we all have mostly seen in the movies as well and every here and then, what we call as the public bidding or auction, and what we commonly in Hindi also refer to as Nilami. But that was the only option that was available to such companies in till the current situation, like only viable option to say, due to which, and due to the lack of the options, the companies had to suffer even greater loss, and if at all any asset could have been saved, even that had to be sold out in such public bidding. But now, with the help of these pre-packs, there shall be a resolution, there shall be a system of debt available to these distressed companies, through an agreement between the secured creditors, as in who all are investing their money into this particular company, and the investors who are also, investing their money or who are lending their money to such company. And thus they would be more secured, and there would be better chances of them at least getting something. So as we say, something is better than nothing. So at least they might be able to recover some of their money that they actually indebted, or they actually invested in this particular program or in this particular company. So why do we need these prepacks? It provides the MSMEs an opportunity to restructure their liability and also protect the creditors. As I just mentioned, that since now they already will have it in mind and they have a plan thing already prepared in advance system, so it would be possible for the MSMEs to take a better decision and to save at least something in such a situation. So the benefits would be that it was limited to a max of 120 days, and in which 90 days are there for filing the resolution plan to the National Company Law Tribunal. So here, in very, very less time, that is only for in 120 days, the entire matter can be resolved, and thus it will not be pending in the courts or in the tribunals, and thus a faster and speedier judgment can be taken up. Also, existing management retains control in pre-packs and not a resolution professional. And that is why it can be very much beneficial to have a pre-pack wherein the companies can be well equipped in advance itself. So it is very much popular in the United Kingdom and Europe as well, and that too from the last 1 decade already it is there. So this was all for the day. With this, let's see finally what do we have for news and flash for the day. First, transfer of vigilance officers. So the Central Vigilance Commission has modified the guidelines pertaining to the transfer and posting of the officials in vigilance units of government organizations. So it has said that we are restricting their tenure to 3 years at one place and extension of the tenure to other 3 years in a different place. And this was actually ensured, this has actually been done to ensure transparency in the entire procedure. Secondly, we have World Health Day today, which is World Health Day today. So it was on 23rd April. Basically, it has been brought out today again. So it was observed to making the beginning of it is basically it is to be celebrated or to be recognized on 23rd April. So it has been into news today as well. So it is observed to making the beginning of a new campaign that seeks to promote a healthy world. And if we talk about the historical background of this, it was proposed in 1948 by the first World Health Assembly, which was observed since 1950. And the theme for 2021 is Building a Fairer, Healthier World. So this was all for the day. We hope it was a good and a knowledgeable session for you all. Thank you so much for staying tuned with LawSikho, and please subscribe to our channels for such more updates to come.